Hello, this is Rufus, and this is the last thing you should think about before sleeping. For most of the last century, China was a country defined by its sheer numbers. Its population grew so fast that it seemed unstoppable. By the late 1970s, a fear of having too many mouths to feed gripped the nation's leaders. Their solution was drastic and would reshape the country for generations: the one-child policy. It began in 1979, and for nearly 4 decades it curbed population growth, just as intended. But it also did something else. It fundamentally altered the Chinese family. Households became smaller, a generation of only children grew up, and a subtle but significant gender imbalance began to take root. China once feared having too many people. Now it fears having too few. And somewhere between those two extremes lies a story that might just be a warning for us all. In 2016, Beijing officially ended the one-child policy, allowing families to have 2 children. 5 years later, in 2021, they expanded it again to 3, but the reversal came too late. The demographic momentum had already shifted. In 2023, for the second year in a row, China's population shrank. The birth rate hit a record low. This was the first sustained population decline the country had seen in over 60 years. It wasn't a blip on a chart. It was the start of a new era. The numbers today paint a stark picture. China's total fertility rate, that's the average number of children a woman is expected to have in her lifetime, is estimated to be around 1.0, maybe even lower. To put that in perspective, a country needs a rate of 2.1 just to keep its population stable. China is far below that line. This means the population isn't just shrinking, it's also aging at an incredible speed. Think about this: by the year 2035, 1 out of every 4 people in China will be over the age of 60. At the same time, the number of working-age adults, the people who power the economy and pay for social services, is falling. This isn't just a statistic. It's a direct challenge to the very foundation of China's economic miracle, its pension systems, and the fabric of its society. A country built on a mountain of people is discovering the ground beneath it is starting to shift. So, why aren't people having babies anymore? The simplest answer is money. The cost of raising just 1 child in a modern Chinese city is astronomical. Housing, private tutoring, healthcare, extracurriculars, it all adds up to a financial mountain that many young couples feel they simply cannot climb. Many will tell you plainly, it's not that they don't want more children, it's that they can't afford them. But the story goes deeper than just economics. There's been a quiet revolution in social values. As more people have moved to cities and gained higher education, priorities have changed. Young women, in particular, are increasingly choosing to pursue their careers, to find personal fulfillment, and to delay marriage and childbirth, or even opt out of it entirely. The traditional expectation to marry young and start a family is losing its hold. The desire for individual freedom and a balanced life is taking its place. This is a profound cultural shift, a redefinition of what it means to live a good life in 21st century China. And then there are the ghosts of policies past. The preference for sons, amplified by the one-child policy, created a skewed gender ratio. Today, there are millions more men than women, creating a demographic reality where many men will never find a partner. It's a quiet personal crisis for many, but it has a massive collective impact on birth rates. Add to this the brutal reality of China's work culture. The infamous 996 casual working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week leaves little time or energy for parenting. For women, the burden is often heavier. Many face workplace discrimination the moment they consider starting a family, a motherhood penalty that forces them to choose between a career and a child. The Chinese government is acutely aware of the problem. They see the demographic cliff edge approaching. In response, provinces across the country have rolled out a raft of pro-natalist policies. There are cash subsidies for newborns, tax breaks for families, extended maternity and paternity leave, and even housing benefits. Some cities are experimenting with becoming baby-friendly, building more public childcare facilities and family support programs. But so far, the response has been lukewarm. Few families are taking up the offers. This suggests the problem isn't just financial. You can't just pay people to have children when the underlying social and psychological barriers are so immense. The government is being criticized for not tackling the deeper issues, the crushing work culture and persistent gender inequality that make raising a family feel like an impossible task. What happens if these trends continue unchecked? The consequences could be profound. A shrinking workforce means fewer people to drive innovation and productivity, leading to slower economic growth. The pension and healthcare systems, designed for a different era, risk becoming unsustainable as a smaller pool of young workers is forced to support a rapidly growing elderly population. On the geopolitical stage, China's demographic decline could shift the balance of power. Its economic engine might slow just as rivals like India, with their younger populations, continue to accelerate. Some demographers warn of a demographic trap. It's a theory that once a country's fertility rate falls below a certain point for long enough, it becomes almost impossible to reverse. The social momentum for small families becomes too powerful to overcome. We're already seeing this new reality play out in China's cities. The number of dink households, that's double income, no kids, is on the rise. It's a lifestyle choice that reflects this wider cultural transition. The very concept of family and filial piety, the sacred duty of children to care for their parents, which has been the bedrock of Chinese identity for centuries, is being redefined. And as the traditional model weakens, a new social challenge emerges. Who will care for the elderly? It's a question that millions of families and the state itself are now beginning to grapple with. An entire social safety net, built on the assumption of large families, is fraying. Of course, China isn't alone in this. Japan, South Korea, Italy, Germany, many developed nations are facing their own demographic winters. But China's situation is unique because of its scale and its central role in the global economy. For decades, the world has relied on China as the world's factory, powered by an endless supply of cheap labor. That era may be coming to an end. A shrinking Chinese workforce could reshape global supply chains, drive up prices, and alter patterns of international trade and investment. The demographic shift happening within China's borders will inevitably send ripples across the entire globe. So what does the future hold? Demographers see a few possible scenarios. In the best case, China successfully reforms its family policies, tackles its toxic work culture, and builds a robust social welfare system. This might stabilize the birth rate somewhere around 1.5, slowing the decline. In a middle-case scenario, the current gradual decline continues, leading to economic stagnation and widening inequality between vibrant cities and depopulating rural areas. And in the worst-case scenario, the population collapse accelerates. This would trigger severe labor shortages, pension crises, and a long-term economic contraction that the country might struggle to ever escape. The path China takes will not only determine its own destiny, but also have consequences for the rest of us. The story of China's birth rate is a complex tapestry woven from policy, economics, and intensely personal choices. It's a quiet drama playing out in millions of homes, a collective decision that will define the 21st century. It serves as a powerful reminder that a nation's greatest resource is its people, and that the future is built not just in factories and skyscrapers, but in nurseries and family homes. Thank you for joining me for this thought. I hope it gives you something meaningful to reflect on. If you found this interesting, please consider liking this video and subscribing to this channel. Subscribing is free of charge and will help me create more videos. Until next time, this is Rufus signing out. Sleep well.